How good is the RX 6700 XT as we head into 2024? Well, let's find out. It was released in March of 2021, so at the time of recording this video, it's sitting at right about 2.5 years old. Now, most people would regard this card as one of the best budget options for 1440p gaming. But is it really? Well, we're going to find out right after a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by PC Bros and their Black Friday sale going on Black Friday through Cyber Monday, where you can get their professional streamer PC for $100 off. This system will play anything at 1080p and 1440p and get you a high refresh rate experience. It comes with the Ryzen 5 7600, one of the best 6-core CPUs on the market right now, and gets you into that AM5 platform. For the GPU, their standard option is the RX 6700 XT, but for an extra $325, you can get the RTX 4070. All PCs on PC Bros always come with the 1-year warranty, but during this sale, you're going to get free shipping on any PC on their website, even the one-offs that are featured at the top of their website. And if you're a fan of the Toasty Bros, PC Bros also going to have all their merch at 50% off during this sale, so you do not want to miss this opportunity to get an awesome PC or merch at PCBros.tech. Big thanks to PC Bros for sponsoring this video, and if you don't want to build your own PC, you should really go check them out. Now we're going to test this graphics card in both 1440p and 1080p because some of you just want those high FPS numbers, even if it is at 1080p. For the test bench that we're using today, we've got this beautiful black and orange case here from Fractal Pop. It's featuring an i5-12600K on a Z690 motherboard featuring 32 gigs of DDR5 memory running at 5200 megahertz. This should not hold back this graphics card in any way, shape, or form, so let's see how it does in the games. First up, we took to the skies in Warzone 2.0 on the Resurgence game mode. You know, I got to play the Resurgence game mode because, you know, I really can't get kills in the actual battle royale, and I get to respawn in this mode, so it gives me the best chance to actually, you know, fight people and see what the FPS is like. At 1440p on the balanced preset settings, we decided to not turn on FSR for this game because it actually did really well. Now, it was the balanced preset, so you could bump the settings up a little bit if you wanted to, but I was going for at least 100 FPS on 1440p, and we got just that on the balanced preset at 110 to 120 FPS. But like I said, some people just want the most FPS possible, so at 1080p on the same settings with no FSR, we wanted to see just how high we crank it, and we got around 145 to 165 FPS, which on Warzone with this graphics card I think is pretty awesome. Next up was Starfield, which is the new Crysis these days, but it runs better on AMD GPUs, so you shouldn't be too surprised by these numbers here. At 1440p, we ran it on the medium settings with FSR, but you have to be careful with the preset settings on Starfield because when you turn on the preset settings, it automatically drops the render scale down to 50, so I bumped that all the way up to 100 to make sure we got the full 1440p experience. We got 80 to 90 FPS fighting these pirates or space people or whatever this is. This is just a great scene where there's a lot going on and it's really easy to test the FPS. Likewise, again, just in case you did want a high FPS number in a game like Starfield, you could go down to 1080p. In order to do this, we just took the render scale down to 75% because 75% of 1440p is 1080p. With FSR, this gave us around like 110 to 115 FPS, so you be the judge. If I was going to play Starfield though, I would definitely put it on 1440p because it looks awesome. If you're liking this video so far, do us a favor and smash that like button. And if you just like building PCs on a budget or look for budget options when upgrading your PC, then you're going to want to make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our fun here on the channel. Now, everybody's favorite battle royale, good old Fortnite, we tried it with a lot of different settings. There are a lot of settings in Fortnite that are absolutely FPS killers, so you want to avoid those as much as possible. Things like the nanite geometry, the super aliasing or the super resolution, shadows, reflections, illuminations, all of that stuff, turn it off. It's going to kill your FPS. So we tried it on DX12 first at 1440p with the view distance, textures, post-processing, that stuff, and we got anywhere from like 180 to 220 FPS. You know, everybody's wanting that 240 FPS experience, and even now there's people running at like 360 and 500. It's absolutely insane what these people are doing, but 240 is the good goal here for us to use for this graphics card. So we put everything on low, but the view distance, we put that on epic, and we got 260 to 300. Every now and then we would drop to like 230-ish, but I never saw it really get below that, which I thought was pretty awesome. And you know what they say, DX12, you know, it runs better with AMD. That's what they say. Also at 1440p, just for fun, we did run it on performance mode to see if it was any different at all. And we got like 220 to 250 FPS. There wasn't a whole lot of difference in the low settings on DX12 and on performance mode. This could be due to the CPU. I'm not really sure, but to me, DX12 run just a little bit better. So maybe they're right. We also want to squeeze out the most FPS out of Fortnite, so we did run it at 1080p on DX12. Again, we turned all those FPS killers off, everything else on epic, and we got like 210 to 250 FPS. And then with everything on low, except for view distance, we put that on epic. We destroyed everything with around 280 to 300 FPS most of the time, which is a pretty awesome experience if you ask me. Halo Infinite is growing on me and it's growing on everybody else. They've really changed the game here recently with some updates, and it's absolutely a blast to play. At 1440p on the medium preset settings, we hopped into a tactical slayer to see how many heads we could tap here with this nice graphics card. Again, we were trying to target that 100 FPS experience at 1440p, and Halo Infinite with the RX 6700 XT delivered just that. At around 110 to 120 FPS, it really didn't help my head tapping ability as I absolutely got slaughtered, but maybe it's just nostalgia, but I really like this game. But again, if you're wanting a few more FPS, you should go to 1080p, so we dropped the render scale down to 75%, and that gave us about 20 to 25 more FPS, which put us around that 130 to 145 mark, which is absolutely awesome because that's, you know, where most monitors are these days. Now, Apex Legends is a fairly popular game that people are still playing on PC these days, so I wanted to throw it into the rotation. It is a AAA title, but it's not super hard to run depending on the hardware that you have. But at 1440p max settings, we only got around like 160 to 180 FPS, and occasionally it would drop all the way down to 140. We tried to lower the settings at 1440p to kind of a lowish medium settings to see how much we could squeeze out of it, and it did get closer to 200, but no matter how I tweaked the settings, I couldn't get up to 240 at 1440p with this configuration. At 1080p, however, we tried max settings first, and we got like 180 to 200 FPS. Again, I was really hoping for that closer to 240 range, but we just couldn't get there. However, when we lowered the settings all the way down to get the most competitive settings possible in Apex, we did get pretty close to 240 most of the time, with a few drops down to 220-ish occasionally. So if you're wanting that close to 240 FPS in Apex, this would get you really close at low settings. But we wanted to throw one more game in there just to kind of push the GPU a little bit further, and that's Cyberpunk 2077. We ran a couple of built-in benchmarks here, one at 1440p on the high preset settings. No matter how many times I tried to turn FSR off, it always kept turning back on when I ran the built-in benchmark, so I just gave up, and I'm just going to give you the number with FSR. At 1440p on the high preset settings, we got 98 FPS. And we ran it again at 1080p just in case you wanted a high FPS experience in Cyberpunk for whatever reason. On the high preset settings, again, it kept turning on FSR, and that gave you 136 FPS. So let me know down in the comments, where do you think the RX 6700 XT ranks in 1440p gaming, or 1080p gaming for that matter? It's around $300 on the new market at this moment at the current pricing at the time of recording this video, which puts it in a great spot for 12 gigs of VRAM, especially because we just don't have anything else like that right now on the market. As far as used graphics cards go, I picked mine up for about 250 bucks on eBay, which is a great spot for it to be in, and you can get that deal pretty often on eBay with the used prices that are on the market right now. But if you really just want to go team green and you want an NVIDIA graphics card, you're not going to get 12 gigs of VRAM, but you can go check out this 3060 Ti video because it is the closest thing and it performs very similar to the graphics card you just watched.